Coming up on the DLLS Mavs pregame show, history will be made tonight with the second ever father-son matchup as Luka Doncic takes on Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns. We'll preview the game and more coming up here on the DLLS Mavs pregame show. Here we go. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato, Mavericks analyst Bobby Carella. We are DLLS Mavs, your favorite guys covering your favorite team every single game night. You can find me on X at Kevin Gray Sports, at Tim_Cato, at Bobby Carella, and you can always dial up the Stein line for our national NBA insider, Mark Stein, at the Stein line. It is game night for your Dallas Mavericks, game number 2 of 82. As Daddy's home with Luka Doncic and his Mavericks returning to Phoenix. The last time the Mavericks were in Phoenix, all Luka did was drop a 50 spot on Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns. Mavericks looking to move to 2-0. We'll preview the matchup tonight and get to everything here on DLLS Mavs here on the pregame show. Tim, Bobby, welcome to game 2 on the Dallas Mavericks NBA season. What's going on?
Since you mentioned the thumbnail, we've got to give credit. That was ultimately Tanner's.
Actually,
it was everybody, but who came up with the?
It was actually your boy.
Oh no! You actually came up with the.
I actually
exact,
came up with the whole Daddy's home.
That's my fault then. It was a collaborative effort.
I'll take the credit. Thank you, Tim.
Kevin,
just keep it all on me over here.
Kevin and Tanner led the way.
Good job, Kevin.
Thank you, Bobby.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job, Kevin.
Y'all ready to have some fun tonight, though?
I hope so. Jeez. Oh, I just left the fan on. My bad. I should have turned that off.
Oh, is it distracting you? Tanner's got it.
No. It's just.
I don't think anybody can hear
Are
that.
you trying to cool off the hot shooting that was the Mavericks a couple of nights ago?
Gee, I'm trying to cool myself off. I'm sweating a lot today.
Yeah.
Probably because I'm so nervous about this game tonight, boys.
What are you nervous about? The Mavericks last year went 2-1 against the Phoenix Suns, took the season series against Devin Booker and company. The Suns coming off of blowing a 22-point lead last night against the Los Angeles Lakers. Phoenix Suns on the second night of a back-to-back. Of course, the Mavericks were off after beating the San Antonio Spurs on Thursday night. Look to move to 2-0 on the season. We already have it. We'll dive into it a little bit later on in the show. Mavericks are going to be facing a shorthanded Suns team tonight. Bradley Beal and Grayson Allen both out officially for tonight's game for the Phoenix Suns. So Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, by the way, Durant, who played 39 minutes last night, are going to have to go at it without Bradley Beal and Grayson Allen when they take on the Mavericks tonight.
Yeah. I mean, that's the shorthanded team that's already lost, the night before on the second night of a back-to-back. Dallas should go out and take this. I know that's really simplistic analysis.
Tim already has thrown in the predictions. The Mavericks should win.
It's a must-win game. It's a must-win game.
It's a must-win game.
I was distracted. You had said Beal is officially out, and I had missed that he was officially out. And so I was on my computer looking that up. Daniel Gafford also starting again for the Dallas Mavericks. We'll get into that a little bit more, but yeah, Dallas is the fresher team. They're the healthier team, and they're quite frankly the better team. So
yeah, I do think they're the better team. There's
a lot of things going in their favor.
They're the more well-rested team. Phoenix is gonna probably be a little pissed off about what happened on national TV last night, and frankly, the season opener, whenever they did win against the Clippers in that game, but it had to go to overtime, and James Harden missed a layup at the buzzer to win the game, and I really don't think that was much to write home about from Phoenix's perspective. So I feel like they've yet to put together a good 48 minutes so far this season. Third game in 4 nights right out of the gates. It's kind of an old team. I don't know, man. We'll talk about them. We'll talk about them in a bit. This is about the Mavs, right?
Starting the season on a 3-4 is rough, though.
It's tough. Yeah. But
this happens. That's how the schedule goes. You got to play it.
This is a Mavs show, and from the Mavs standpoint, this is the first road game. They're playing against a team that they are probably going to be competing with for playoff positioning all season long. Whether that's the top 6 or the top 4 or whatever is yet to be determined. Certainly a top 10 spot. And all these head-to-heads matter a whole lot. So if the Mavs lose tonight, I'm not smashing the panic button. I'm not sounding the alarm. None of that stuff. The sky's not going to be falling or anything. But this is the kind of game where you're playing a team that's tired and that's shorthanded. If you can beat them, that win could matter a whole lot when it comes down to determining tiebreakers 6 months from now. So there is quite a bit riding on this game, despite it being so early in the year.
Yeah, and look, anything can happen in one game. And the randomness of sports can catch up to anybody. And if Dallas loses, there's a good chance that it's a lot of randomness going on. And but if they lose for reasons that are beyond that, I'll put it this way: I'd be a little surprised. It doesn't mean anything. Now it's the second game of the year, but it's something to kind of bring up post game. I do think Dallas should just expect to go win this game. I don't think that's too much to ask of them, given all the context and the factors going into this. And again, if that doesn't happen, then we can assess what exactly went wrong on the post game. But again, I just think that this this situation, this team, this game, go win, go show. If you're Dallas, go show us that this is the team. You're the team that we kind of think you are.
Yeah, prove it to us.
Exactly.
Luka,
the
Kyrie,
three of us specifically.
I'm using
Get out
the
there and
universal you.
They're watching the pregame show in the locker room just like everyone else. All right?
That's true.
Klay, show me something tonight.
Klay showed us what he could do in his first game with the Dallas Mavericks.
Knees deep in like a newspaper. He can't even hear you right now.
Looking at his fantastic box score that he had the other night, 22 points, 6 3-pointers in his Mavericks debut. Mavericks, by the way, went 13 of 21 from downtown in the second half against San Antonio after getting off what was to a 6 out of 23 start from the three-point line. Mavericks looking to get off to a good start tonight, unlike what they did in the first half against San Antonio before ultimately turning it on against the Spurs to eventually take them out by 11. I'm sure a good start would give some good vibes for this team taking on a shorthanded Suns team tonight.
Yeah, and again, on the other side of in the second segment of the show, we're going to be talking more about the Suns. But from the Mavs' standpoint, the Suns are a little tired. The Suns are a little old. Their starting lineup is a little slow. Their bench, they can go small. But whenever you're going up against their bigger players, we know what the Mavs want to do. They want to spread the floor. They want to outrun teams. They want to outgun teams. They want to outshoot teams. They want to play in space, create driving lanes for Luka, and do all these things. And so, you want your springy early season legs to be able to take advantage of maybe the little more travel-weary Suns' legs.
It'd be interesting if Phoenix goes small. And I will say, as 1 point to...
They're not in the starting lineup, but they will.
I want to see Derek Lively against a small Suns lineup if that's the way that Phoenix goes.
Yeah.
And there's maybe not justification, but you're not missing out on Lively against a small lineup from the jump because they aren't going to start small either time. And so I get it. Again, I would just start Derek Lively. I know Jason Kidd has his reasons for not doing that. And it's until it becomes something that starts affecting their ability to win games, I guess it doesn't really matter, especially if Lively's just going to play more minutes every time, which, he certainly did against San Antonio. But I also think that if you start Daniel Gafford in game 1, it doesn't really make sense to go away from him in game 2. I think this is something that's going to hold for a little bit, not necessarily, maybe only into like the first week of November, so maybe just a few more games. But it didn't surprise me once Gafford started game 1 that he was also in their game 2. And looking forward to seeing both of them. They're both good centers. They're both startable, as Jason Kidd said, even if one of the two is, in our estimation and quite frankly, just realistically the better player.
Mm-hmm. So I got the PHNX, our friends within the All-City Network, the PHNX pregame show pulled up on my laptop, and I'm watching on mute, but I'm reading the chat. And there's someone who presumably is a Suns fan in the chat saying they actually might arrest Lively and Gafford for how they're going to brutally assault Nurk tonight.
Wow.
So I think expectations are pretty low. I think they're talking about Nurkic right now because a lot of people are commenting on the Suns' size. And, again, we'll talk about the Suns roster here in a little bit. But, as we focus on Gafford and Lively, which one is going to start, if you're new to the program, you're talking to three guys that are big Derek Lively fans.
Yes.
Tanner, producer, huge Derek Lively fan.
guy.
Like, we're a Derek Lively the second podcast.
I'm an
here.
enjoyer.
But Daniel Gafford is also very, very good. And on a night like tonight, when the alternative to playing against Nurkic is probably Royce O'Neal at the 5, you might get a little Mason Plumlee at the 5. Or is it Mason or is it Miles? It's Mason, right? Yeah, Mason Plumlee at the 5.
Boys.
But like, it's going to be like Royce O'Neal at the 5 or Oso at the 5. Like, the Suns are going to go so small. KD at the 5. Like, I don't want Gafford chasing those guys around.
Sure.
I would rather that be Lively. So tonight, I don't really mind it. But against the Spurs, I thought Derek Lively should have started.
Yeah, and Lively wound up with 15 points, 11 rebounds off the bench for the Mavericks in Game 1. For me, when you start thinking about the Suns and their lineup, and from the Mavericks standpoint, physicality, this is a game where you as the Mavericks should be able to impose your will on this team that's going to be playing a little bit smaller, and the size advantage that you have with Lively and Gafford, and what you obviously are going to be bringing to the table with Luka Doncic, Klay Thompson, and Kyrie Irving. This is a game where if you get off to a good start, you have a chance to really put that pressure on Phoenix. And I think if you're the Mavericks, you want to go in and set the tone early on from an offensive and defensive standpoint that is going to be hell for the Suns tonight when it comes to the physicality of the game based off of what Phoenix may be putting out for not just their starting line, but also what they're going to be available to bring off the bench tonight. So if you're the Mavericks, physically take it to Phoenix tonight because you have the ability to do so with your sizing and length on this team.
Yeah, and Phoenix they started the game in LA last night super hot. They were, at the time I tuned in, I think they were like 13 of 18 from the floor or something.
They made 21 of their first 30 shots, including 9 straight three-pointers at one point. The rest of the way, though, they went 21 of 52 for the rest of the game.
But I say that to say, Phoenix, they're called the Suns. They can get real hot, and they can score. They got 2 of the best shot makers in the world, probably of all time, in KD and Booker. Despite Beal being out, despite Grayson Allen being out, they still have guys that can support them, that can complement them, that can knock down threes. So, the Mavs got off to such a grimy and sludgy start the other night against the Spurs. It was a very low-scoring first quarter. Phoenix is much better than San Antonio.
Yeah.
And so if you play the same kind of sort of just disjointed, gross, first half where you're just everything is short and you're just a lot of turnovers, a lot of mistakes, you're gonna be down 10, not down 2.
Can I go back to something?
Yeah.
They're called the Suns, so they can get hot.
Yeah. I feel like that was a good line.
He's trying to say you hammer him.
Every NBA team just takes on the characteristics of what they're named. Oh, well, the Mavericks, they can get out and gallop on the fast break.
They got 23 fast break points.
Yeah, that's a pretty good line.
The Timberwolves, they really hunt in packs with their bench unit.
They defend really vociferously.
You're not helping yourself at all here, Tim.
I'm just
find a new slant.
I'm just saying, if every NBA team is what they're named,
they should be.
Let's play this out. The Lakers, they're you might fall deep into them and drown. I don't know. It just doesn't.
You was cooking on the first 3. I don't know necessarily
about
that one. Like you was cooking on the first few. By the way, it is a Mavs TV night. I see you in the chat. I see you, Coop. Mavs TV on NBA app is working. Also from Soul Child. Yes, I just logged into Mavs TV. Picture is clear, no buffering. So obviously a big night as well. If you're going to be watching the game on KFAA or on Mavs TV on the NBA app. 2 different ways you can watch tonight's game. So our first opportunity to be able to watch how the Mavericks television broadcast will be looking in a couple of different ways. So I see you in the chat saying things are working out right now as far as that's concerned. So just another part of the intrigue for tonight's game number 2 of the 82-game season for your Dallas Mavericks. Coming up here in just a moment, we're going to get into the injury report, who's in, who's out. Bobby's got his breakdown.
The Knickerbockers are definitely going to wear pants tonight.
That's a good point. Good job, Tim.
No, I was reading a comment. Sorry, it had just popped up.
Okay. I was like, you came up with that. Good God. Wow. I was like, wow. We're really working hard.
It popped up on my computer before it popped up on
the screen. Kevin, at least he thinks he's funny.
Exactly right. But before all that,
Screw 41.
Bobby, save us and tell us how we become a diehard here.
Yeah, so alldlls.com. That is the great website that we maintain for you fine folks. And hey, look, if this is your first time watching us on stream, we're covering every single game, pre and post game, all season long, and all that stuff is going to be for free. We cover every team in town. If you're a Dallas sports fan, we got Mavs, we got Cowboys, Rangers, and Stars, and more teams on the way, including TCU already. But we have a website where we have some paywalled written content. We also sell merch. We also have a diehard Discord and our community of folks, I guess. I don't know.
Our diehardian community.
Yeah, our diehardian community.
Yes.
You can become a diehard by going to alldlls.com/diehard. We're running an introductory first-time limited time offer right now. For about $4 a month, you can become a diehard, get access to the entire website, including all of our analysis, written analysis. You can join the diehard Discord. You get a free shirt when you sign up, and you get a discount on any future merch that you want to sign up. And I want to shout out some of the recent people that have signed up today. John, Eric, Patrick, another Patrick, different Patrick, but also named Patrick, Scott, and Brian. Shout out to all y'all for becoming diehards. Again, alldlls.com/diehard. But again, everything that we're doing here on the YouTube channel is going to be free. It's going to always be free. It's going to stay free. It's going to be awesome before every single game. And then about 10 or 15 minutes after the final buzzer, we'll be bringing you an hour-long post-game show that will also be in your Spotify and iTunes feed. And we'll be joined on those by the GOAT, Mark Stein, who I currently spot, Kevin, talking to the PHNX crew.
Okay.
Hopefully firing some warning shots over on their YouTube channel. His interview just ended.
Well, he's doing his thing as the national NBA insider for DLLS Sports and, of course, for the ALLCITY network. Make sure you become a diehard member. Show out that physical diehard card as well. Let us know you're becoming a member. We'll shout you out on social media if you tag us, and we'll let you know how it feels to be part of our diehardian family here at DLLS Sports. Speaking of family, Daddy's home in Phoenix. Luka Doncic bringing his Dallas Mavericks. Relax, Tim. Is how we're talking about the game. I saw your look on your face. I saw it. You couldn't hide it. As the
You
Mavericks,
weren't even looking at me. How did you see that?
I can see you on the screen, literally on the screen.
Don't tell them that. They can't know all the tricks of the trades.
They're literally looking at you right now.
They are.
Whatever. I give up.
Who's in, who's out for the Mavericks and the Phoenix Suns? We know that Dante Exum is not going to be playing, of course, after his right wrist surgery. We now know officially that Grayson Allen and Bradley Beal are going to be out for the Phoenix Suns tonight, so they will be shorthanded as 36-year-old Kevin Durant, who played 39 minutes last night in a loss to the Los Angeles Lakers. Him and Devin Booker will go at it to try and take out the Mavericks tonight. But, Bobby, something that has caught your eye with this team in terms of Phoenix and how they played not only last night, but some trends that we've seen from them over the last year or so.
Yeah, so two things about Phoenix. One, they start Yusuf Nurkic as their 5. So Mike Budenholzer is the new coach. He was with the Bucks for a long time and with the Hawks before that. Kind of a signature aspect, an element of a Mike Budenholzer offense is a lot of spacing. He wants his bigs to shoot. You think of guys like Al Horford and Brook Lopez. Well, Yusuf Nurkic throughout his career hasn't been a great three-point shooter. So far this season, he is just 1 of 7, so that's 14%. The rest of the Suns, though, shooting pretty dang well. KD 50%, Devin Booker 53.3%, Bradley Beal 58.3%. So the Suns do have a lot of shooting, but Nurkic has kind of been a guy that's struggled a little bit, and so it'll be interesting to see how many minutes he gets whenever he's out of the game. I expect the Suns to go small, mostly Royce O'Neal or maybe even KD at the 5, but they do give minutes to Mason Plumlee off the bench. Phoenix's big problem last season was competing in the fourth quarter, specifically scoring in the fourth quarter. This was a team that had, by the way, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. Usually one of them was out, but for the most part, at least 2 of them was healthy for the entire season. They had the number 30 offensive rating in the NBA last year in fourth quarters.
Yikes.
That's worse than Portland. That's worse than Memphis. That's worse than Detroit. That's worse than Washington.
It's worse than Dallas.
It is way worse than Dallas was. They also had the number 22 defense in the fourth quarter, and that adds up to having the number 30 net rating in the league in the fourth quarter. They were minus 11.6 points per 100 possession in the fourth quarter last season. The 29th worst team, so the next worst team, was Miami at minus 5.5. So Phoenix was significantly the worst team in the NBA in the fourth quarter last season. Now, part of that was because, again, a lot of injuries, had a hard time filling out the roster. But because because of all those things, they were playing Devin Booker at point guard, essentially. So it's kind of hard for Booker to get to his spots. And, how are we going to set up this offense and blah, blah, blah. So they go out this summer and sign Tyus Jones to a minimum contract somehow, which I thought should be illegal. Frankly,
I mean, that's all the money they had to offer at that
Investigate that, Adam Silver. He's worth more than the minimum.
Was that the craziest? That was probably, from a value perspective, even
outrageous.
more than Gary Trent
Yeah,
in Milwaukee, or even
fair.
Caleb Martin in Philly. Tyus Jones on a minimum has to be the biggest value signing of the year.
Disgraceful.
It's the new Derrick Jones.
Yeah, but it hasn't fixed the offense, at least yet. Last night against the Lakers, Phoenix built a 22-point lead. They were outscored by 5 points in the fourth quarter. They were outscored by 16 points in total in the second half. Obviously, a big hallmark of the Mavs' success last season was being able to execute in the clutch. They were the number 3 clutch team in terms of net rating. They were the number 1 clutch offense. They also had the highest or second highest clutch win percentage in the NBA. Last season, the Suns were the 19th best clutch team. So you would think all of this is adding up to say, if this game is close going into the fourth quarter, you have to like the Mavs' chances. The Mavs have Luka. They have Kyrie. They have 2 incredible closers who can handle and facilitate in addition to hunting shots. Phoenix, maybe not so much. So I think if as long as Dallas is within striking distance heading into the fourth quarter, one would think they have a very good chance to win the game.
I like I like Phoenix's roster better this season. I like Tyus Jones being there to orchestrate them a little bit more. I like some of the role players around the edges. I like that they have star talent. I like that they have all-star talent. It's one reason why, like Sacramento is just it's just really hard to predict anything major for Sacramento, a team that has 2 like borderline just outside of all-star talent. You're not going to win playoff series without all-star talent. You have to have that. It is a indisputed fact of the NBA. I still don't think their talent adds up to being anything more than a team that can maybe at best win a playoff series. However, and to complete this point, I don't think that Budenholzer as a coach can come in and change that. However, when I see stuff like the clutch, like how bad the offense was late in games, as you pointed out, as you illustrated, that's something where I look at a team and think maybe a coach like Budenholzer can make that better.
Maybe, but it's like,
I mean, Durant's not getting any younger though at this point. That's part of the problem.
I think the real issue with them, and this is like, I'm just some dude, but I think the real issue with Booker and KD is that so much of what they do is like operating in the mid-range, which is kind of overlapping. There's not a lot of like, KD is a pretty good passer, but he's not like a great passer, and he wants to shoot hang poles, whatever Chet Holmgren was saying on Instagram. OD 53 on hang poles. And it's like, dude, I mean, he wants to shoot pull-up 20-footers, and those are worth 2 points. And, like, you're not always going to make those. You're going to be tired at the end of the game. Defense is going to double-team you. They're going to force turnovers. Like, if the Suns are playing a bunch of guys, like tonight they're starting Ryan Dunn, a rookie who's an impressive defensive player and had a good shooting night last night against the Lakers, but the big reason that he wasn't a lottery pick is because apparently he's a crummy shooter. Maybe he'll get hot tonight, but, like, maybe the Mavs can just leave him open and just send extra help at KD and Booker and make it tough. And, like, it's really, really hard to win whenever you're just trying to score 2 points every time down the floor.
Yeah, and I get that. I mean, a good coach to me is able to get a team, especially because clutch offense is 5 minutes. It's the last 5 minutes of game with a game.
They struggled all fourth
points.
Quarter specifically.
Oh, all fourth quarters.
Yeah, they were the worst fourth quarter team.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, the point is just, hey, stop gumming up the offense and run what you do well. That's the idea. Like, I think a good coach can communicate that, can get that through to their players a little bit more. So maybe you see some improvement there. That said, again, I don't think it changes the macro picture for the Phoenix Suns. One thing to briefly point out, again, I had clutch in my mind. Fourth quarters. That's a really big sample size. Yeah. I will say clutch stuff overall, really small sample size.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Outside of Beal on their team, Kevin, last night in LA, KD took 17 shots, Booker took 21 shots. That's 38 of the team's 82 shots, so almost half. Mm-hmm. Beal took 14 more shots. So that's 35 and 17. That's 52 of the team's 82 shots were taken by the big three. Beal's out tonight. Grayson Allen is out tonight. Who's getting those shots? Is it going to be Royce O'Neal taking 10 threes? Like, what are they doing? KD played 39 minutes.
That's a great question. I don't know. I don't know where those extra shots come from.
Remember
Yeah.
Grayson Allen was it on Christmas? Like he
was the one going tit for tat with Luka at one point.
Like, dude, Grayson Allen, shut up! Stop doing this.
Yeah, no, I don't know where a lot of their offense.
He's a good shooter. That's what he does.
He is, but he's not playing.
Yeah, he's not playing. So I don't know where a lot of their offense is going to come from and who they're going to have to find it from, because without obviously Bradley Beal, the amount of minutes and play that Durant had last night, it's going to be tough for them to generate offense, which, again, that's going to put a lot of onus on Tyus Jones to really create things for Durant and Booker to try to take some of that pressure off of them to be able to have some open looks going into tonight. I want to mention this real quick. A couple of X factors for tonight's game. The Mavericks forced 19 turnovers against the Spurs, scoring 17 points off those turnovers, and also had 24 second chance points. So, again, speaking to the physicality, if you can beat them up on the boards tonight the way that the Mavericks were able to do with 17 offensive rebounds against the Spurs, you're going to give yourself a really good chance to, again, impose your physical abilities on this Suns team that will be really small.
And they
tonight.
got a bunch of 6'6" guys in their lineup. I mean, KD is 7 feet, but he's not very, stout, obviously. Tyus Jones, Booker, Ryan Dunn is not very tall. Monty Morris, Royce O'Neal, like the Mavs are the bigger team. They're the significantly bigger team. So like Gafford and Lively, especially when Nurkic is not in the game, the Mavs have to grab 55-60% of the available rebounds. Go get them all.
This is a game where you should win the rebounding margin comfortably by at least plus 10.
And I woke up today kind of worried about who's going to guard KD, who's going to guard Booker, but then who's going to guard Luka? Who's guarding Kyrie? Is Tyus Jones guarding Kyrie tonight? Like Ryan Dunn, you think will guard Luka. Luka will probably get him in foul trouble at some point. Maybe not in the first 5 minutes, but Ryan Dunn's going to get a lot of fouls. He's a rookie. Rookies are terrible at guarding Luka, unless their name is Vince Williams. But even then, Luka rang him up for a few points in their second game. It's going to be really tough, dude. This might be a really high-scoring game.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I will say...
Should be for Dallas.
It should be for Dallas. And one thing I will say is, even with the, no Grayson Allen and no Bradley Beal, you've got to take every team that you play seriously. You can lose to any team on any given night. The advantages are clearly with the Mavericks based off of what they can do from a physicality standpoint, obviously with the star power that they have with this team, but you've got to come out with the team with that sense of urgency to take out a team that's as severely shorthanded as the Phoenix Suns are. Because otherwise, look, we've talked about Durant and Booker and the heavy load that they can carry. They're not incapable of not carrying that load when it comes to their abilities to score. So you've got to be able to put the pedal to the metal early on if you're the Mavericks and take this team out and make sure that you're putting them away when you have to. Because otherwise, you don't want to give Booker and Durant a chance to hang around late in a game when you didn't necessarily have to in a game like this.
Booker and Durant are going to combine for 50 shot attempts. The only way
they're going to have to. Yeah,
the only way that doesn't happen is if they just aren't playing deep into the fourth quarter because the game's already gone. It's the only way. You look at their bench and you look at this roster. They don't have one of those microwave guards. That guard that can't create their shot reliably enough to be a star, but can do it on any given game. A lot of teams have that type of player. Phoenix does not. It makes sense given the roster, the makeup of the roster, that they have Beal and Booker and Durant, that they don't have that player. But yeah, the shots are going to have to come from Booker and Durant, and they're going to be taking a lot of them. I think. You're just going to have to feed Durant specifically a lot. I'm very curious to see, to what extent Dallas doubles him. I think they're going to be sending doubles at Durant. They've done that in the past.
If guys start cold, I bet they will.
Yeah,
I think they'll double him as a response. Not like if Ryan Dunn misses first 3 shots. Yeah, we're doubling.
I don't know if they'd they've doubled both in the past. Booker and Durant. They've had that as a thing. In some ways it makes more sense to double, Booker and really try to fluster him. And
dude, I like that they didn't double Wemby at all. Just they give other teams the Luka treatment. Like whenever teams don't double Luka, it really, really bothers Luka.
Yeah, it does.
Because he's waiting for the double team and it never comes. And he's like, oh my god, I guess I got to take a third. Let it.
Last season they had one game against Durant where it was just auto double every single time, right? Am I misremembering that? Was that a different player?
I don't know. I don't
Last
remember.
season was a long time ago.
I don't remember.
Anyway, season.
Not worth dwelling on.
One note for the rest of the season is tonight we'll get to see what are the Mavs going to do. Like Quentin Grimes, Sigmy guarding Booker. I would think that Najee is probably better equipped to guard a guy like Booker than he is a guy like KD, but he's probably going to be guarding KD a lot. So we're going to get to learn a lot about those guys and how they like to defend these star level players. Because there was really none of that we saw on the Spurs game. They were just guarding, more like kind of average players. Tonight they're going to be guarding like Hall of Fame caliber guys. So we'll really get to see what kind of impact they can make on defense. So I'm looking forward to that too.
It's time for Mavericks basketball as the Dallas Mavericks take on the Phoenix Suns. The Mavericks look to move to 2-0 as they get ready to take on Devin Booker and Kevin Durant in the Valley of the Sun. We'll be back for our post-game show here on DLLS Mavs 15 minutes after the final buzzer. So make sure you tune in to DLLS Mavs for our post-game show right here on DLLS Sports. For Bobby Carella, Tim Cato, I'm Kevin Gray. We're DLLS Mavs. We'll talk to you after the game between the Mavericks and the Suns. Y'all be good. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.